Today, we will once again take a look at interesting footage that captures a moment. Ukrainian FPV drones blew up Russian infantry trying to cross frontline in battle. More than two-thirds of the Russian tanks that Ukraine's military has destroyed in recent months have been taken out using first-person view, FPV, drones, a NATO official told Foreign Policy. An increasing sign of Kyiv's reliance on the unpiloted aircraft as it awaits more artillery ammunition from the United States and other Western countries. With much-needed funding and artillery rounds held up in Washington, the Ukrainian military has largely turned to FPV drones to carry out anti-tank attacks. Ukrainian troops operate the drones via controller and are able to watch the machine's suicide attacks on Russian vehicles through video feeds, which now play on a loop on Ukrainian social media channels on Telegram and other platforms. In the third year of Russia's full-scale invasion, FPV drones have become nearly ubiquitous on the Ukrainian battlefield. Many of them can carry 10 pounds of explosives or more, and after nearly 780 days of non-stop war, drone pilots on Ukraine's sides have gotten plenty of practice. But for every success, there are nearly as many blooper reel-worthy incidents. These aren't the $20 million a piece Predator drones that the United States uses to hunt terrorist targets in the Middle East. These are inexpensive, off-the-shelf drones that go for $400. In one video shared on Telegram, visible we're seeing probably is a fraction of what's actually happening, said Samuel Bendet, an advisor at CNA and a member of the think tank's Russia Studies program. FPV drones have a short range, so even if the Ukrainians lack enough long-range artillery, they can only use a few drones up to 10 kilometers, about 6 miles, because that's the normal range. But analysts tracking the Ukrainian military believe the attacks are having mixed results. Rob Lee, a senior fellow in the Foreign Policy Research Institute's Eurasia program who last traveled to Ukraine to embed last November, said the overall accuracy of FPV drones is less than 50%. It's an experienced pilot who is going to score a kill of a tank and the soldiers inside with an FPV drone, not a newbie. Even those drones that get through Russia's increasingly sophisticated boxes of signals equipment strapped to tanks might not deal a fatal blow. If Ukraine keeps attriting at this rate and Russia keeps sending in more tanks to replace the destroyed ones at the rate it has been, the Kremlin could lose its numerical edge in tanks, which could make it more difficult for the Russians to carry out offensive operations in the future. The all-out use of cheap drones indicates that the Ukrainians are turning to increasingly frequent use of FPV drones measures to improvise weapons to fight back the Russian assault, which has moved farther west into the contested areas of Donetsk. Ukraine is using a network of microphones similar to the one you might find on your iPhone to sense incoming targets. The microphones are good enough to classify what type of munition is coming in, what direction it's going, and what trajectory it's on just by using acoustics. And with limited air defense munitions, Ukrainian troops have rigged heavy machines with sensors to shoot down most of the Iranian-made Shahed suicide drones that are overflying their positions. The NATO official, speaking anonymously based on conditions set by the alliance, said Ukraine's hit rate against Shahed drones with simple machine guns and small-caliber weapons is about 80%. It's not a complete fix, though. Ukrainian officials have spent recent days urging the United States to send more Patriot air defense systems. Meanwhile, Russia suffered its highest casualty rate in Ukraine for over 2 weeks, according to Kyiv, whose latest figures outline the high cost of troops and equipment Moscow is facing in its full-scale invasion. On Saturday, Ukraine's general staff said that Russia had lost 1,030 troops the previous day, the biggest casualty count since March 26, when the same number was recorded. This has taken the total number of losses since the start of the full-scale invasion to 452,760. The grim milestone of 450,000 Russian losses was reached earlier this week. Ukraine's also said on Saturday that Russian forces had lost 23 tanks over the previous day and 47 armored combat vehicles, ACVs, taking the total losses of these pieces of equipment over the course of the war to 7,169 and 13,745 respectively. Kyiv's estimates of troop losses are described as approximate and include both dead and injured and show a spike following a week of losses of around 700 to 800 a day. The last time it was higher was on March 22nd, when Kyiv's casualty count for Russia was 1,050. The highest tally so far this year is 1,290 recorded on February 18th, and the overall highest since President Vladimir Putin started the war more than 2 years ago is 1,380 on October 19, 2023. Accurate figures of Russian losses are hard to come by, and other estimates give lower tallies, such as the British government's estimate from March 3rd that Russian casualties killed and wounded had reached 355,000. However, this week Ukrainian military intelligence published unverified audio it said showed a Russian soldier in the Belgorod region complaining about high troops losses among his comrades as he described a total chaos of a wartime strategy. It comes as Ukraine's commander-in-chief, Alexander Syrsky, said in a Telegram post that the situation on the Eastern Front has deteriorated significantly, following increasing Russian attacks in recent days. Syrsky said that the situation around the eastern frontline city of Chasiv Yar, 12 miles west of Bakhmut in the Donetsk region, is difficult and tense. With a U.S. aid package for Kyiv held up in Congress, Syrsky reiterated Ukraine's calls for more Western military assistance to help achieve technical superiority over the enemy in high-tech weapons. Only this will enable us to defeat a larger enemy and create conditions for seizing the strategic initiative, Syrsky said, adding that Ukraine also needed to improve the quality of its personnel training.
Да.